rests its case. Defense rests its case.
Closing arguments.
Your Honor, I ask that my remaining time up to 5 minutes be reserved for rebuttal.
Let's get a time check. What we got?
Well, I'm allotted 9. I have under.
Okay, so you don't need remaining time of your entire case.
No.
I see what you're saying. Got it. Okay.
And I also ask permission to set up the courtroom to use the demonstrative.
Certainly.
May it please the court. Your Honors, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today's case is a case that deals with the power of the press. BNN admits in their own memo that they have the power to shape public opinion and public discourse. This is an undoubtedly true fact in our society. Now, let's begin with the story. On the night of September 24th, 2006, Reagan Thomas and BNN were sent to cover a debate between Midland's gubernatorial candidate Drew Walton and Professor Lane Hamilton. Now, they arrived at the debate and began to set up their equipment. After they spoke with Walton, a horrible thing happened. Professor Lane Hamilton committed suicide that night. Drew Walton was the only eyewitness here that saw it. Afterwards, Drew Walton was asked questions by the media about what happened, and she was asked questions by the police. In no way was Drew Walton implicated by the police in the crime. Now, after that, later that night, Drew Walton went home. Drew Walton walked into her house, saw her family watching TV, and her children asked her, "Mommy, are you a murderer?" Could you imagine the horrifying experience when your children think that you were a murderer? Now, let's look at Midland's elements of libel. Now, in a case such as this, the plaintiff holds the burden of proof, and that burden is by clear and convincing evidence, which means that we must prove that it is more likely true than false that the statement in question is more likely true than false. Now, let's look at point A. The defendant published a statement of fact of or concerning the plaintiff. Now, BNN that night said that Drew Walton gunned down Lane Hamilton, and all signs indicate that homicide charges are forthcoming. This is a statement of fact. It is either true or false. It is a fact. B, the statement is false. Now, the defense counsel would like you to believe that Drew Walton murdered Lane Hamilton instead of Lane Hamilton committing suicide. However, the police department ruled it suicide. The CSI, Mickey McQuiggan, ruled the death a suicide, and Drew Walton, the only eyewitness that saw the suicide, said it was just that, a suicide. C, the statement is defamatory in nature. Now, for a statement to be, Drew Walton was accused of murder. Now, murder under Midland's case law is defamation per se. Could you imagine what being accused of murder would do to your reputation? Undoubtedly, it would defame you and have negative implications. D, the defendant is at fault for publication. Now, to be at fault for publication on a public figure such as Drew Walton, the defendant would have to have acted with actual malice. Now, this means that the defendant either didn't know the story, the defendant knew the story was false and reported it anyway, or simply did not care. Reagan Thomas and BNN did not care whether or not the story was false. Kip Berkshire, to understand, said, "Who doesn't want rankings? Who doesn't want ratings? Who doesn't want profitability?" Kip Berkshire was out for #1. He said that. Also, Reagan Thomas did not even bother to attend Drew Walton's press conference. Why? not care what Drew Walton had to say that night. Moving on to point E, the plaintiff suffered harm or injury as a result of the publication. Drew Walton's daughter is up the best. Mommy, are you a murderer? Drew Walton had to explain to her community and her family that she was not a murderer. Now, today's case does not deal with specific instances of harm or injury. It is necessary in proving the elements of libel. Drew Walton's family thought that she was a murderer, and Drew Walton's community thought that she was a murderer. And in fact, a couple months after the broadcast, Drew Walton lost her bid for the governorship of Midlands. Now, we know that the media has tremendous amounts of power, but we cannot let this power go unchecked. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, listen to your conscience. Listen to the case law. Listen to the story. We cannot allow BNN to make such accusations without suffering the consequences. Case law says that you should rule in favor of the plaintiff, and your conscience should say you should rule in favor of the plaintiff. Thank you.